you?
Good. How are you, Miss Lancaster?
I'm good. Correct me if I'm saying your name wrong, Mr. Cho.
Yes. Perfect.
Okay. So did you have any trouble getting here today?
No, it was easy.
Okay. And did the receptionist make sure your parking everything is
Yeah, she took care of it.
perfect? Can I offer you anything to drink or
Well, I got a bottle of water with me.
all right. Well, let's get into this interview. So, I know a little bit about your case, so feel
Yeah.
free once, I understand that you were injured while ATVing, um,
Yeah.
that you
Yeah,
haven't.
it was sometime in February.
Okay.
I was riding by myself and traveling eastbound on St. John Street. And came up to this property. I saw the no trespassing sign. And I want to cut across and get to another street, Judson Street. And I saw a whole bunch of ATV track marks on the ground. So I thought, oh, other ATV riders obviously use that route. So I said, well, it should be okay. Looks pretty safe. So I cut across, and all of a sudden I fell into a ditch. And my ATV was totally disabled. I broke both legs and my pelvis. I couldn't get out of myself. So 10 minutes later, somebody saw me and called the ambulance. Actually, I was airlifted to a nearest hospital. Um, and my injury was very severe. I needed three surgeries to fix all the fractures. And I was in the hospital for almost a week. And the recovery has been rough. So, right now I'm still having a lot of pain issues. I was out of work for a long time, so I want to know if I have any way to recover from the landowner, because if they have a ditch on their property, they should at least post some warning signs, right? What do you think?
Well, there's a little more that I probably need to research before I can actually tell you that. But
Hmm.
um, so at this point, are you just in rehab, or where are we at in the recovery phase?
I'm still doing rehab. Yeah, it's slow going. I'm getting better a little bit, but I'm still having chronic pain problems. I have to see a pain specialist. Uh, might even need to get some kind of pain pump, pain stimulator implanted in me. So the medical expense is quite high, you know. So
Do you mind if I ask where you work or?
yeah, I work for a major Fortune 500 pharmaceutical company. I'm a sales rep,
Okay.
so I travel a lot. So yeah, with this chronic pain, it's hard for me to travel. I couldn't work for like 2 months after the accident. Uh, but right now, It's hard. It's hard to work with all that travel. With this pain. But I try to struggle every day to bring in the revenues. But it's tough. It's tough.
Well, I can understand that. So
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a couple questions about the recovery that you're seeking.
Hmm.
Understandably, you have significant medical bills. Is that one of the
Yes.
aspects that you're seeking?
Yeah. Yeah. I have a high deductible plan. I had health insurance, but it requires a lot of out of pocket expense. And the times I lost due to my injury, the time from that I could work, was quite significant. I had to borrow money from my relatives just to get by. And right now, I'm not bringing nearly as much income as I was before my injury. So, yeah, it seems I'm very frustrated.
I can
Uh,
understand.
yeah.
Um, are you looking to recover any of the lost income from as a
I don't
possibility?
know. What do you think? That seems only fair, right? To
Well, I think I need to know everything you would want up front, and then we can
mhm.
talk once I do some research on the probability of all of those. So it's better for me to know everything up front and really get you the answer than to continue to get bits of pieces and search for it. So I'm just making sure that I'm understanding what you want to recover here or what your goals are. I don't necessarily think that that's outrageous to ask for. I don't, there's some other questions that would have to go with that. And then you mentioned that you feel like the landowner should put up some signs warning of the issue. Is that another issue that you would like?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a dangerous spot on their property, they didn't have any fence around their property. They had a no trespassing sign on the southwest corner of their property. I think the people own maybe 100 acres.
Okay. So a large parcel of land. I don't know, some signs saying, danger, don't enter, or something like that, because on appearance, it looks fairly safe. Mm-hmm. So I went across it. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions about when you decided to go across it. So you did mention that you saw a no trespass sign farther down the road, but then you saw other ATV tracks, and so that led you to think that it was safe to enter.
Right.
Okay. Have you ever been on that land before, that piece of land before?
No, this is the first time I travel through this piece of land. I usually come here once every winter. But I've never been on this piece of land before, so not familiar with this neighborhood.
And do you know if, you said you saw other tracks, but do you think that area is commonly used for ATVing?
Yeah, because 10 minutes after I dropped into the ditch, another ATVer came over and saw me and called 911 for me. So I think a lot of people use that track.
Now, you said that do you know the landowners at all, or did you have any previous?
No, I'd never met them. I just saw this house sitting on the northwest corner of this parcel of land, and there's a no trespassing sign. I never met them. I didn't knock on the door either. Just happened to be passing through.
And then, how long have you been ATVing? Is this a new sport that you've just taken up, or something you've been doing?
Maybe 5 years ago, right out of college.
And then you mentioned families in the area, which is what brings you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, those are kind of my only specific questions. I'm going to go ahead and just reiterate what I think you're telling me, just to make sure we're all on the same page. So, in February, you were ATVing. You happened to go across a piece of land that you saw other tracks on. You hit a ditch, and it caused the injuries that you've now sustained. It took about 10 minutes for someone to find you. You had broken both legs and your pelvis.
My pelvis, yeah.
You were medevaced to the local or the closest hospital, where you underwent 3 surgeries.
Right.
Could you repeat how long you stayed in the hospital?
About a week.
Okay. Now you are still in rehab. You're having chronic pain, and it's been a very long road to recovery. You're seeking damages or recovery of damages, possibly to cover your medical bills and to receive some of the lost wages that's happened due to the injury. You'd also like the landowners to properly mark the dangers. Am I missing anything from your standpoint?
What else can I get in terms of recovery? Those are the only things I can think of right now.
Well, the only other thing that I would ask you to consider is, if you are going to continue to be in rehab or you're going to continue to have pain management, that may be something that we want to look into, just to make sure that, again, that we're doing all the research up front rather than having to piecemeal it as we go through. Because as you said, you are currently still in rehab, so that's still a bill that's coming in. And then, depending on how the pain management issue goes, that could be a consistent or constant ongoing just effect of the injuries.
Right.
So I can add that to the list of just things to research, and then at least we have a probability versus not having any information on it.
Okay.
So at this time, you're kind of working when you can based on pain management and rehab.
Right.
But it's still significantly different than prior to the injury, correct?
Yeah. The quality of life is not there. My revenue is not as good as before. Yeah, just very slow recovery.
Okay. Well, and I mean, I completely understand the viewpoint of where you're coming from. This has been 2 months in the making of getting these questions together and coming to, just to get some advice on it. So the next step that I'm going to do is in about a week, in about hopefully between 5 to 7 days from today, business days, is to send you an email with kind of the information that I've gathered and the probability. I'm also going to send you a business agreement, which just goes over the fees. Today there's no fee, we're just consulting. And just kind of let you see the different ways that our firm handles different things. And we can discuss all that once you've looked at it. And then after we go through the probabilities and we go through all that, we'll meet again and go more forward with a way ahead if you want. If not, then you can just have the information that we've researched and make whatever decision you want to.
But I don't have any money I can pay up front.
And that's fine. Today we're not asking for that. And even next week, there's different contingency fees that we can wait until if we go to litigation. There's hourly fees. There's a fixed fee that regardless of what we do, you pay one set fee. And then there's a contingent fee. So we can go through all that. We can do a mix of them. We can wait till we go to litigation and then we only receive something if you win. There's lots of different options that we can go through. And that'll all be included in that email just to give you some information on and to make you comfortable on how to go forward.
Can you do something like just by contingent only? Like if we go talk to them and they agree to pay and then you get a percentage of it? Is that what contingency is?
That is, in a nutshell. I mean, that's a very big picture of it. And in the business agreement, it'll go through the percentages that the firm would get, versus an upfront payment or retainer payment. So there are multiple options, and we can understand that both ways. In these type of situations, that's a very common way to handle it. So just so that you understand that's not outside the realm of things that we do every day for clients. And that's at any point between now and when you get the information. If you have any additional information that you want to share with me or you just have questions, you can contact me and I'll get back to you as soon as possible or talk to you immediately. So I don't want you to feel like there's a bar against like, well, I've told her everything I know today and I have some extra and I want to wait. Just feel free to get a hold of me. It's easier to talk about it than to wait and have any issues. So that's kind of the end of what we're going to do today. If you would like to, like I said, if we go forward, there could be some documentations that we would need, such as medical bills and those kind of things. But we'll get into that a little bit more as we get the research done on the project.
Do you want me to gather the medical bills for you before we meet next time?
I don't think you need to do that. I think you just need to know that it could be some documentation that we need. As long as we know we can get access to them fairly easily, then we should be fine. And, according to HIPAA laws, you're probably the one that has to release them to the firm. But again, everything that we're talking about is confidential, and all of those records will be confidential. So it's not, anything you tell me, be it that you feel maybe puts you at fault or doesn't put you at fault, doesn't really matter. Everything that we talk about just stays between us for the time being. Okay. So we'll talk again in about a week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Now let's see.